What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we've got a $255 mixed change coin roll hunt in front of us. We've got $80 in halves, we've got 100 in quarters, we've got 20 in nickels, 50 in dimes, and $5 in pennies. These mostly came from the same Wells Fargo that was about 25 or 30 miles away from my house. I know 5 rolls of these half dollars came from a different Chase bank that I've never been to before. I'm excited to jump into these to see what we can find. I'm going to go ahead and start with the dimes because they're one of the fastest to hunt, and then we'll figure out where we're going to go from there. So let's jump into it. Alright, so if you've ever watched one of my coin roll hunts before, for dimes, we don't look for much because there's not a whole lot to find out there. Outside of the 1996 W, which is going to be nearly impossible to find in circulation. We mainly hunt for silver, and we do that by edge hunting these dimes. There's a couple other interesting ones out there and a couple other low mintage like the 2009 that maybe is interesting to look for, but I've kind of gotten to the point with most of my dime hunts where we just kind of open them up, we edge hunt, and then we move on. So this will go pretty quick. I'm going to open every roll on camera, and we'll fast forward if we don't happen to come across anything. All right, well, I do see some foreign, oh my goodness, lots of foreign looking stuff in here. And maybe some Canadian, some really weirdly reeded stuff in here. You can see right here, that's super thick. So we got some off-color stuff in here. Let's take a quick look at this under the scope, just see if we can get a year off of it. It's a 1970. All right, well, let's go through this one at a time and see what we have. We have a 5 pence from Great Britain. That looks like a 1999. But that's coming out all right. So there's one foreign. Here's another one. This is a 50 pesos. Can't even read that. That's so little. Hell, I can hardly read it under the scope. It's so little. Not exactly sure where that's from. Looks like Colombia, actually. Republica de Colombia. 2022. So there's 2 foreigns. Now, well, it's kind of neat to find this stuff at the same time. You know, every one of these I find, it's a minus 10 cents on the hunt, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to have it get, I'm not going to run into anybody that's going to give me money for these dimes. So let's see what we got here. This is a 5 pence. Again, Great Britain, 2013. Super thick edge on that, and it reads silver, but you can tell from the thickness and the reading that it's not a silver US coin. All right, this one is Canadian. 10 cents, looks like a 2020 with the sailboat on it. There's Queen Elizabeth there on the back. So that's 4 foreigns in one roll. We got another one up here. This looks like some sort of 50-cent piece. Maybe from like Mexico. It's 2020. That side, it reminds me of the design on pesos. Let's see here. Yeah, this is Mexican. Definitely Mexican on that one. And let's see if we had anything else here. Hiding from a US perspective. No, just a bunch of regular plain old circulated dimes. So 5 foreigns there in the hunt in a single roll. That was a minus 50 cents on that roll. Nothing there either. And here is our last roll of dimes. That'll be $50 worth of dimes and only 5 foreigns to show for it. All right, so let me get these rewrapped And we're going to move on to something next. Stay tuned and find out. Okay, well, the dimes just produced those 5 foreigns. We're going to go ahead and jump into a couple of rolls of these nickels here. Get those opened right on camera and see if anything jumps out. Of course, in our nickels, we'll be looking for all kinds of good stuff. So everything from our war nickels, which are 1942 to 1945, and are 35% silver. We'll be looking for those. We'll be looking for old buffalo nickels, as well as our V nickels, which they made before the buffalo nickels. And of course, anything pre-1960, we do consider a find, and I hang on to those and put them in rolls. Now, this miscolored nickel right here is typically what we're looking for silver. They just kind of patina differently. I don't know if that's going to be a war nickel, but let's check it out together. Let's see, where was it? Was that it? I think it was. Yep, and it's just a modern nickel. Looks like a 2019 Denver that was miscolored. So you can't always go on color alone. Now this one looks old. That is a 1941. Looks like we've got a Denver there. Now that might have a repunch mint mark or an over mint mark. I'll check that off camera, and I don't have all of my nickel errors memorized, so I do have to go to my cheat sheet, which I do have in the description down below this video. And I also use the Strike It Rich with Pocket Change book, which is, I've got my Amazon affiliate link in the description down below for that as well. That's a great book. It's got pictures. I've showed it off in many of my coin roll hunts. I'm not going to do it here today, but check out that link in the description down below. If you're new to coin roll hunting, it's a great resource. It's a 76, 64. So nothing too cool there. You know what? I'm going to open one more, and then I'm going to go back through these. Now, I will look at each and every nickel because there are a ton of DDOs, DDRs, repunch mint marks, those kinds of things in nickels, and you really do have to inspect each and every one kind of closely. I do put a lot of them under the scope. All right, so we have our first 4 in here. That is Queen Elizabeth on the front, and we have ourselves a 1998 Canadian nickel. So there's a, maybe not our first find of the hunt, it's our first foreign of the hunt. And it's a Canadian. It's a modern buffalo nickel. Don't care so much about those. So I was cleaning those up in reverse, so I'm all the way back to roll number 1, and I'm stopping here because it's the first one of these that I've found. This is the new 2024 Denver, and these things are super low mintage. I want to say 30 million maybe was the number, around there. I'll put the actual number if I'm wrong on the bottom of the screen, but rolls of these are still going for pretty big bank on eBay, and again, I'll put some recent comps on the screen for that. So if you happen to find full rolls of these things, don't send them back to the bank. Think about throwing them on eBay. Keep in mind you're going to lose 15%, and shipping is a little bit of a pain in the butt. But if you're able to make $15 or $20 on a $2 roll of nickels, it is well worth it. But my first 2024 D in the wild. Well, this little roll has turned out to be quite nice. Now, I did find a second 2024 D and a 2024 P. Now, these guys, they made a lot more of the 2024 Philadelphias. I just checked eBay, you know, a single coin on its own going for about $2 or $3 a piece. Full rolls, they're down to only a couple, $4, $5, $6. I've seen them go as high as about 10 or 12. But I was shocked to see that 4 circulated 2024 Denver nickels were selling for $10. An entire BU roll from the bank was selling for $76. So this is pretty amazing. So these 2024 Ds are quite the find, and these couple of customer wrapped rolls. So pretty cool. I hope we'll find a few more in the next 6. So we're cleaning up roll number 7 here, and we've come across our next find. It's a pre-60s. It's in pretty bad shape. We got ourselves a 1957. Looks like we got a Denver with a little bit of road rage on it. Well, that's going to do it for the nickels. Just really quickly, we did end up with one Canadian nickel here. It was that 1998. We had a 1941 and a 1957. And of course, you know, we always want to find those Silver War nickels, but sadly, these 2024 Denvers are worth more than a Silver War nickel today, at least based on eBay pricing. So I'll probably just keep these aside. I may put a few of them on eBay. We'll see. But if you're hunting nickels and you're not hanging on to your 2024 Phillies and Denvers, you really need to start. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump into the next denomination. So we're going to go ahead and get into pennies next. And if you don't have something like the Strike It Rich with Pocket Change book or my little penny mat that you can get in the document in the description down below, I really suggest it because there's so much to look for in pennies. And it's just too much to memorize. So my mat will give you a good list of things to look for. And of course, the Strike It Rich with Pocket Change book, it's even better because it's going to come with pictures of all the things that you're going to care about. Now, in the pennies, we'll be looking mainly for wheat pennies, Indian head pennies, any of our DDOs, DDRs, repunch mint marks, anything that you can find out there. Of course, we do hang on to all of our copper. And if you were unfamiliar, a zinc penny, I pulled two just random ones out of my little reject bin here. 2015 is a zinc penny, copper-plated zinc. This is a 1982 Denver that would be a copper penny. And this is why I do love this new little Tom Love microscope that I've recently reviewed. It has a built-in scale on it, so I can see very quickly that we've got a 2.5 gram penny there. And we'll go ahead and drop this little copper penny down here, and you'll see we've got 3.1 grams. Now, by the time this video comes out, I don't know if Tom Love will have released this to Amazon, but that little unit's going to go for about $45. And unfortunately, it's only got a 4-inch screen on it. But it's a great little microscope, especially for the price point with that built-in scale. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into these pennies. So I am going to go ahead and open 1 or 2 rolls here on camera, and we'll see if we can just quickly pull out the copper. Anything that jumps out at us. On the end here, we got 1974 copper, so we know we're going to have some mixed pennies in here. Jumping out straight away. Well, here, let me line these up like we normally do. I'm just going to thumb through them really quickly. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few things, and I will take a second pass to look for things like our wide AMs, or I think there's some no FGs on these. There's an 82 that's a copper. There's all sorts of interesting things to look for on here. There's the 88 that might have a proof reverse on it. Hopefully I'm on camera here for you. There is a 1970 copper. There's an 80, is that an 88? 82, that's probably copper, just looking at the color. I continue on through here. I'm not seeing any wheat pennies. There's a 78 Denver that's probably copper. And we got 2 more here. There's a 77 copper and a 74 copper. So definitely going to hang on at least to all of those. We're going to go back through all of these with a finer tooth comb. We're going to be checking our mat and our book to see if there's any, like I said, DDOs, DDRs, die clashes, you name it, we'll be looking for it. And if I happen to find any of that stuff, I'll be sure to bring you in. Well, we're getting into roll number 3 here, actually just about 3/4 of the way through, and we've got our first official, real find of the penny hunt. We got ourselves a 1952 Denver. For those of you that don't know, I think it's 58 and earlier. Those are our wheat pennies, and we love finding those. So we're getting into roll number 5. We're about halfway through, and we've got our next find of the hunt. We've got ourselves a 1955 Denver. Now, we always want to look out for that Philly if we can find it, because there's a massive double die obverse that's out there that's worth more than a few bucks, I would say. In a really good condition, it's worth a lot of money. But we got the Denver on this one, and it is our second wheat penny of the hunt. So same roll, just a handful of pennies later, we've got our next wheat penny. Got ourselves a 1941, looks like a San Francisco this time. Another wheat penny on the hunt. Well, that's going to do it for the pennies, and everything I have up here is something that we've pulled, and most of it we're going to hang on to. From here on over is pretty much all of the copper we pulled from roll 1 to roll 10. So you can see we had a pretty good distribution of copper. I did get one really nice red 1982 large date. Now the 82 does have a large date and a small date, and you can tell the small date has a much more defined 2, and the large date has a really thick 2 there. But all that's copper we're hanging on to. We did get a couple of the formative years. Lincoln commemorative pennies from 2009. Those came in 4 different designs. I believe that one's called the Capitol Dome, so that's one of the other designs. And for 10 rolls, coming away with 3 wheat pennies, a 41S, a 52D, and a 55D is not a bad little haul for wheat pennies out of 10 rolls. Sometimes I only find 5 or 6 wheat pennies in an entire box. So I will take it. Now, I did throw all the copper into coinapps.com, including my wheat cents, and according to today's spot price for copper, we've got about $1.65 worth of copper all the way up to here, and including those wheat pennies. So not a bad little takeaway. And I'll keep it. I'll hang on to all my copper. These will probably go back. That'll get rolled separately, and these will go into my wheat penny bin. And with that, we're going to go ahead and jump into the quarters. Okay, well, here we go with our quarters. I'm going to go ahead and open up maybe 3 or 4 rolls here on camera and get them out. Now, the main things we typically look for in quarters, really, I look for just about everything, but what's the most interesting for people these days seem to be the W quarters, which they're getting really, really hard to find. They were only minted in 2019 and 2020, about 2 million per design. We're also looking for silver, which you would find the same way you would look for silver in any other denomination, which is that solid gray edge. And I have typically found silver quarters in Atlanta are about the hardest to find. I find more silver dimes than I find silver quarters these days. But so far, nothing there. And then, of course, there's a whole myriad of die chips, DDOs, DDRs, San Francisco business strikes, San Francisco proofs, all sorts of other goodies and quarters to look for. If you're new to coin roll hunting, quarters are oftentimes some of the easiest to get into as well, just because there's so much to look for. You can typically pick up 10 rolls and always find something. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and go off camera. As I find things, I'll be sure to bring you in. So I got rolls 5 through 8 unwrapped here, and we're about halfway through roll number 5, and we did come across a drooling George, which I used to find about 100 of these in a box, and now I'm finding fewer and fewer of them because I think of channels like mine that have informed the public of them, and they're getting pulled. But it's called the drooling George because we have a big old die chip right there in the corner of George's mouth. Now, this quarter has seen a little bit of wear. It's not like in mint state condition or anything like that, but we do have a little error. I'll put it under the scope here so you can see it a little better. Right there, that big hunk of metal is not supposed to be there. So that's our first sort of official find on the hunt. I did find one really nice 2024 Denver. This is the Patsy Takemoto. That might be an upgrade for my women's quarter book. Just really nice mint luster on that. I do hang on to all my 2009 10s and 11s, and this Oklahoma was really, really nice. And we did come across one Bicentennial Denver. Still checking for that DDO. Have never found one. I did have a viewer email me over the weekend, and they had found one. Their picture was clearly the DDO, so congratulations. I'll put their, if I can figure out their channel, I'll put that up on the screen. If not, sorry, can't give you any free publicity there, but congratulations on finding your double die obverse. But we're going to go ahead and get back to the hunt. So we're bringing in here on roll 7. I think it's roll 7, yep. And this is an old faithful. If you're hunting quarters, you should be able to find at least one of these in just about every hunt. This is the Marietta Chief, very specifically the 2023 Philadelphia. And what you'll be able to find is a little die chip up here in her hat. Again, you can see it with just like an iPhone zoomed in, but if you have a microscope, it's going to jump right out at you. This big hunk of metal right there is not supposed to be there. So it's our second little die chip find on the hunt. Well, that's going to wrap up the quarters, and it was a pretty poor showing for 10 rolls. Typically, we do a lot better, but we did have that one Denver Bicentennial that I may hang on to. I got a couple of 2011s in pretty good shape. I'll hang on to those as well. We did get a Philly and a Denver in really nice shape of the Patsy Takemoto. These are the 2024s. I did check both my women's quarters albums, and both the ones I have are as nice as these. We did get the one 2022 Drooling George. I brought you in earlier for that, and we got the die chip in the hat there and the Marietta Chief. Again, pretty low value die chips on them, but they're fun things to find, especially if you're new to hunting quarters. But typically in 10 rolls, I do a lot better than that. A lot of the old favorites like the Homestead, Leaky Bucket, or Snow on the Roof, we didn't find any, or the extra cactus leaf. We checked for all that stuff. We just couldn't find it. So with that, we're going to go on and get through these last 8 rolls of $50. Okay, so this is the last denomination we have for this hunt, and my $50 have been pretty crummy this year. Now, these customer wraps did come from 2 different banks. We do have some nice thick orange edges in there. Let's just go through a roll or two of them really quickly just to see what we have in here. So 71D, we'll check for the DDO. There's another 71D, two more 71Ds. There's 4 71Ds to check. Now, one of the things I do like to do is when you drop them like this, you can hear them ring out because there is something called a magic coin or magic $50 that they are hollowed out and they're actually 2 halves of a coin that have been machined to fit perfectly together. And they will thud when you drop them on top of one another. So they're really easy to spot. So it's always a good idea to make those $50 make a little bit of noise as you go through them. Let's check the edges here. Some more decent looking orange edges. We got more 71Ds. Oh wow, 3 bicentennials, more bicentennials. So that 83 Philly, we typically want to look for the no FG on the back of the coin. It's a beat up 70-70. There's another 71D. It's a 72 that could have a DDO. So these are all looking pretty just standard like, but at least they're not all 2023 Phillies like most of our boxes. So I'm going to check these off camera. I'll bring in if we find any of the double die obverses, and then I may film the rest of these rolls getting opened. I may not. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's record the next 2 rolls and see what they look like. All right, so we've got some bling in this guy. Hopefully that'll show up on camera. If not, I'll try to zoom in a little bit for you. But we got lots of super orange edges there. Could be some proofs or mint set coins in here. It's a really nice looking 1977. We'll put that aside. Check our albums. There's probably an artificially toned 82. Beautiful rainbow toning on that though. I don't typically hang on to stuff like that, especially for modern clad. I know there's some people that really collect that stuff. And like here's another one, and this is why I think maybe artificially toned. I just don't know how you get that kind of weird toning on a modern $50. All right, well, here's a bicentennial San Francisco proof. So I did see that thick edge in there. Hopefully you can see that big S there right at the base of the Kennedy head there. We have that mirror finish and a little bit of frosted detail left. Now, we really want to find the 40% copper or 40% silver version of this, and you wouldn't have that big copper line if it was 40% silver, but there is a proof on the hunt. That's probably a mint set, half bicentennial. These are just really pretty. Unfortunately, I get a lot of really nice looking bicentennials. So those are likely not upgrades to my book. Now that's a gorgeous 74. We'll put that aside. We sometimes struggle to get nice looking 74s. There's an 83 Philly with an FG. There's a 73 Denver. Checking that for the double die real quick. That's real pretty too. We'll hang on to that. There's a 71D. And I will pull you guys down off the rack if we happen to see like a DDO or something on there. There's a really nice looking 74D. Unfortunately, no double die obverse on that guy, but we'll put him aside and check the albums. There's a nice looking 77 Denver and another just really nice looking 74 Denver. Now the DDO on this one, you want to look in the big T and the big Y and the word Liberty and in the letters of trust, because that's where that double die is mostly going to show up. I'm a little bit excited for these because look at that. For customer wrap, this is kind of way more interesting than what I've seen in my boxes lately. Gorgeous 74. Really pretty 80. Looks like an 80 Philly. Put that aside. There's a 74 Denver. I'll check that after. 80 Denver. So I'll put that aside. It's an 80 Philly. Make sure that's a Philly. That's a Denver, I mean. with an FG. Now we're getting back into like these, that's almost golden toned. Very pretty, 77. It's another toner. 72 that we'll check under the scope. Really pretty 78D. These are gorgeous. It's a beautiful 72 Denver. Now you will hope something that's that pretty doesn't have an FG down there in the crook of the leg, because then that's a variety. And one in that nice a condition, that's at least mint state 60 or higher. That would be absolutely gorgeous and wonderful to have graded and put in the collection. 72. We've seen the rest of those. So I'm going to say this probably came from some sort of collector. I'm just going to keep on going here. Here is roll number 4. We got a bunch more thick edges. We probably have more proofs in here. 78. Beautiful 91 Denver. 81 is okay. Now what I'm curious of, did somebody get like a book full of, you know, a book full of Kennedys and just not realize that, you know, selling it as a complete collection, you know, like a finished book is worth more than trying to like sell these individually. There's a beautiful 89 Philly. I'll put that aside and check the albums. There's no sense in, if you have a full collection that maybe you picked up or you inherited, even though, you know, most of these coins at the end of the day are not worth a ton by themselves, a full album can be worth a few bucks. Quite a bit more than just the selling them individually. But we got ourselves a 1987 Philly, and I consider this one sort of the mother of the NIFCs because this was only released in mint sets. So these are pretty tough to come by out in the wild. So that is a pretty cool find. 86 Philly. Now somebody in the comments is probably going to say these have been cleaned or polished, and that is entirely possible. But they're just really, really pretty coins. I'm glad I saved these for last. These are turning out to be pretty fun. Even though there's no silver, I just like looking at something other than 2023s lately. All right. Lots of possibilities in there. 77 Denver, Bicentennials. Oh, there's an 87 Denver, so we got the pair. Really, really pretty coin. That's going to be mint state. More than likely mint state. That 87p had some issues. Oh, we got a proof. You can just see that in the finish. Mirrored background, frosted details. We got a 1991 San Francisco proof. Lots of fingerprints on it. That's all right. It's an 88p. And we've got a 71. We'll check at the end for... So everything in this little stack, if you can see it, is stuff I'm going to scope. These things are all possible book fillers. Or not book fillers, but book upgrades. Okay, here we go. We've got 2 rolls left. Only a couple of little shinies in here. I don't know if this roll is going to be as much fun. That one's kind of ugly. I'm not going to bother looking. At the 72. That one's not great either. That one's okay. So buried in there are 2024 Denver. I'm not really hanging on to those these days. I don't get as many of those as I do the 2023 Phillies, but I get enough of them that I don't care too much about them. There's 372s. We'll scope those. All right. And the last roll. And when I get done, I'll go back through these for the double dies and that sort of stuff. If I find something, as I've said numerous times, I'll be sure to bring you in. I just don't want to slow this down. Now, I think we're going to have a bunch of, what do they call that? Fake toning on these, or forget what the term is off the top of my head right now. Yeah, it's fake toning. That's the word. It's an 82 with an FG. 81. If you happen to be watching my video and you know these are your coins, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know if these came from a collection or something. So 72 we'll check. There's a 71. All right. Well, that's the end of the halves. Like I said, I'm going to go check, see what we find. Then we'll come back for a quick wrap up. I'm not going to go through everything, but I'll pull some of the key pieces that I really enjoyed finding out of the hunt. Well, that's going to do it for the hunt, and I've kind of pulled everything from all the denominations that was important to me or things that I wanted to talk about. Now, I may have left a few things off the mat, and if I did, I apologize because I know I covered it earlier in the video. But we're going to start by wrapping up the half dollars. We did end up with an 87 P&D right here. We did come across a couple of proofs, a bicentennial San Francisco proof and a 1991 San Francisco proof. So always excited to find those in any roll, whether it be bank wrapped or customer wrapped. And I do have a really nice Kennedy half dollar album that I've shown off in other videos. This is where I'm combining all the nicest coins, and I've got volume 1 and 2 of the nicest things that I own. This is from my own personal collection that I have found coin roll hunting. And it includes all of the San Francisco proofs that, again, I have found over the years of looking through coin rolls. Now, we do have 3 upgrades, and I've already pulled the coins out of that previous book, but we had a 72 Denver that's going to be an upgrade for that album. We had a 74 and an 84 Philly. All looked better than the coins that I have in there. Now, you may see these set aside. I did pull tons of coins out of some previous albums, and I actually consolidated them into another set. So these were completely empty at the beginning of this hunt. And just to show you how much of these albums I was able to fill with those really nice coins from whatever customer dropped them off, we're done with most of our 70s and well into our 80s. So in this first book, we're only missing 2, 3, what is that, 9, about 10, if I did the math right, maybe 10 or 12 coins out of the entire first volume of the folder here. So really nice coins in the hunt. Now, volume 2 is a little thin because the coins did stop kind of around 1991. I don't think we got to 92. We did not. But we were able to fill most of that first page with some gorgeous, gorgeous coins. Some of them aren't perfect, but they are really, really good specimens for being out in the wild. So that's the half dollars. As for the dimes, we didn't find a whole lot. I did get a bunch of foreigns. We covered them previously in the video, so you can go back and see what each of the coins were. But we had 5 individual foreigns from Canada, the Bahamas, to Mexico, you name it. We did end up with 3 wheat pennies. Always excited to find wheat pennies, especially 3 and just 10 rolls of pennies. As for our quarters, we just had 2 that were really kind of important. We had the Drooling George and we had the dyed chip in the hat. I covered it just a little bit earlier. And probably the most valuable things we found in the entire hunt were these 2024 Philly and Denver nickels, and I covered that earlier in the video as well. You know, a set of these things can go for $3, $5, $10 if they're in decent shape, just for like those 2 coins. So I may be putting those on eBay, and we did come across 1 foreign nickel. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the hunt. I know it was a little bit long because I spent time on those half dollars because they were kind of interesting, and I do think probably from somebody who emptied some folders a lot like these, honestly. And if you did enjoy the video, let me know. Drop one down below, click that like button, and leave me a comment. If you're new to the channel and you like coin roll hunts, please consider hitting that subscribe button and then click that little bell so you get all of the videos that I put out. I'd really appreciate it. Special shout out to all my channel members. Really appreciate you guys supporting me each and every month. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know videos have been slow going in the month of July, and it's basically been because I've been having trouble getting coins, and when I do, the coins haven't been great. So I got a couple of videos in edit mode that I'm trying to make a little bit more interesting, or at least as interesting as I can. So with that, I hope you guys are doing well. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.